So first, can you introduce yourself?
I'm Tanya Mace. I'm the oldest. My dad and my mom. I'm 46 years old.
Harvey Mace, and I'll be 64 this year. We're from Encino, little community about 30 miles west of Cuba. That's where we're from. We live here in Albuquerque now.
I'm Denise Mace. I am 40 years old. I am the second oldest of my dad and Eva.
You're all full Navajo?
Yeah, we're full-blooded Navajos.
Okay. When did you start your silversmithing?
Well, we back in the summer of 1972.
1972.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be 49 years.
Yeah, 49 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you start it?
Well, I learned it from my oldest brother, Ted. They used to do that before me. They started back in the back in the 70s. In 71, we all started in 72. But they're already doing it. I had two other brothers that used to do that. So we're all nine of us. We used to also do that, all the silversmiths. So I'm the youngest one. My other two brothers were the old. We all used to work for a company. They used to call Southwest Minerals, the one up on Central. We all used to work there. All six of us used to work for him. So then after that, I just started doing some regular job, doing the silversmith. So that's how I learned a lot of stuff. A lot of time we just know. The only key to it is you got to learn how to solder, and that's the best thing. And then after that, you just pick up the whole thing. I worked for a company, so many companies back then. So after a while, I went on my own. Probably in '89, something like that. I started doing shows, but I was working before that. I was learning, and after that, I kind of got on my own about probably 10 or 11 years ago. Started doing my own stuff. So
How did you start it with your eagle feather design?
well, probably in the 80s, a lot of people start doing that in the probably early 80s, and we start doing that.
It was popular?
Yeah, it wasn't that popular, but it was just getting to be popular. A lot of people they think it was just be stone and silver, but it's actually something different that came in, and a lot of people start doing that. So I start doing that, but the people that I used to work for didn't want to do that. So I used to do the feather. After a while, in probably late 80, 89, somewhere around there, they're all picking up. So everybody started doing it. So we used to do that before that. And I still have a lot of pattern to do all that. Back in the 70s, probably like in the 80s, I still have some patterns that. But every now and then I'll go back to it and still. But it's an older patterns, but I can still do all that. But it's just the way it is. After when I got on my own, then I started doing a lot of feathers. Now I do a lot of feathers, and they do. My daughter does probably, she can do like 60-70% of what I do now, and the niece is just learning to do all that now. So.
So you guys all have the different patterns, different style.
Yeah, I first started silversmithing when I was still in high school. I was probably about a senior in high school, and I started, doing some of my dad's patterns and just learning how to stamp, learning how to solder. So it was more doing it kind of like a hobby. I had a regular job, like a full-time job. So silversmithing was just, kind of like the weekend things or stuff like that until recently, like about 11 years ago, my regular job, after I ended up injuring myself, after I got injured, I couldn't do my regular jobs, my full-time jobs that I had. So silversmithing became my full-time job. But I started designing my own feathers and stuff like that. So I have my own patterns and stuff too, and but a lot of it I did learn from my dad.
How about you, Denise?
For me, I started about 2 years ago. I think this is something that I never really planned on doing with my family, especially with my dad. But knowing that his work is so like delicate to our culture, it kind of brings out a different side of knowing where we come from as a family and being Native American. But I learned, first of all, I learned how to do chains, doing the chain links by my dad helping me solder. Like he said, if you learn how to solder first, then you know basically what you're doing afterwards. So by me learning how to do the chain link necklaces, I think it taught me to be more fragile on my hands, and then which also made it a little bit easier for me to stamp like feathers. I'm slowly learning how to do feathers now. And as far as patterns, I think it's just the approach that we have. It's different. We have our own different approach of doing the stamping, but once the feathers are done, they kind of look similar in a way. So it's a good learning process for us. Well, for myself.
I'm just working, being around my dad and my uncles. Right now, most of them have passed on. My dad comes from a family of 13, 9 brothers, 3 sisters. He's the youngest one, so I got to see some of my uncles, work and stuff like that. From leather work to silversmithing and stuff, and my different uncles, and picking up a little bit from each of them and stuff. And recently, during this whole pandemic, I started working with leather. So I started using my jewelry with leather work and stuff. So that's kind of just moving on, learning something new. And by no means am I an expert or anything like that. It's like we learn something every day. And we learn from different artists, no matter who they are. You might pick up different techniques from somebody else, and hey, that's easier. I should try that with how I do my stuff, and just picking up the different techniques and stuff like that. But also doing our own feather work and stuff like that. So
Is there, can you explain about the feathers, why you make the feather jewelry?
Well, they said it's a protection and spiritual thing that the feather. A lot of people say you can't do that, but it's just the way we've been doing feathers, and then all of a sudden it just starts taking off, and we start making more patterns. Then they say, well, can you do this? Can you make it into earring? Can you make it into a bracelet? Can you make it into this? So we had to find a way to do all that. So now we can do all that. But you've been doing, like I say, I've been doing this for over 40 years, and I can do probably bracelet, rings, earrings, pendants, buckles, whatever. But a lot of every now and then they'll order one or just one, and then everybody wants to say, oh, can you do a lot of these and all that stuff? We can do that, but it's just coming to the point where it's kind of, we had to, I myself had to slow down with all this stuff, so I can't really do as much as I used to do back in the 70s and 80s. But now it's just, a lot of people say, well, can you make 20 of these, 30 of these, kind of like, but not only that, the silver is higher, and it's hard to adjust, and it's hard to adjust to the price wise nowadays. But now it's just kind of staying steady. A lot of people will jump on it and say, well, this is cheaper, can you do this cheaper and all that stuff. We can't really do that anymore.
yeah, so a lot of like the feather work, like to me, like he said, it means protection. And when I do like my jewelry and stuff, I try to put the good energy into my work, and you know, to help the people who are buying it and owning our jewelry and stuff, to make sure, you know, putting that good energy out there for them as well, to keep, you know, people protected from, you know, negativity and stuff like that.
And along with that, I think the feather, it also just represents us as Native American, where we come from. And with our bloodline, with our family, I see it as just being the strength that we have as a family, keeping us together and bonded. So it's also along with the protection.
That is nice. And your son did the drawing of those.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, he drew that, he's drawing that, but only thing is he's more comfortable doing that. Well, he gets more comfortable doing the eagle, the head, and everything else. He tried some horses and things like that. He says he's not. This is like you guys say, he's got to be comfortable at doing something. So he's more comfortable doing the eagles and the feathers. But he does a lot of feathers. Like on the T-shirts, he can do a lot of feathers. But making it back to silver, we can do that. But it's just like we can't do that. We don't want to do that. Then now he's just making some smaller pendants, and he does his own way of doing that. So every now and then he just come up and say, well, is this okay? And say, yeah, it's pretty good. And I can't say that this is off and this is off. This is more like my own design is different from his, but it's the feather line. That's the same way with my kids. They do their own way of feather line. Yeah. And you'll see it different, but if you really look at it, we can only one that can tell is different. Who made it, but who didn't make it. So, but a lot of people say it's the same thing, but if you really look at it, it's kind of different.
You want to say something? You want to say to your fans, have your jewelry all over the world?
Yeah, probably just like it's up to the individual. If they like it, they buy it, and then we can really force them to buy it. But it's just out there the same way with us. Like I say, I've been at it for over 40 years, and I can do different things. But this is what's good for us, and we're still making it. But the thing about it is I'm kind of slowing down, and all this stuff, and then the eyesight gets a little bit different and everything like that. But in younger days, it was different, and you can do a lot. But if they buy it, let's enjoy it.
Just, you know, thank you to everybody who has purchased our work, from, you know, my dad to my sister, my brother, you know, just my family entirely. Just, you know, thank you. We appreciate it, and you guys are the ones that help us keep going and stuff. And hopefully we'll be coming up with some newer designs coming up soon.
Yeah, thank you for supporting our family, especially knowing where we come from as a family, and just wearing something that is so meaningful to us and that's so delicate and that has a story behind every piece that we do. So I hope you all enjoy our work, and thank you for supporting us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.